Thank you, everyone. Welcome to the Educational Forum, where we also include our special awards. As past president, I have the fortunate pleasure of chairing the Special Awards Committee and trying to wrangle all the past presidents, which, if you know any of them, there's no lack of opinions in that room or on that conference call. So I want to thank all of them for their hard work, their time, and thorough process that we actually installed this year to choose the award winners, as well as bring back the Hall of Fame induction. It's been since 2013 since the section has welcomed anyone into the Hall of Fame. So we are going back onto a biannual schedule where we will have a slate of candidates that we will propose to the section in the fall meeting, and then we'll go to a vote where 75% of everyone there has to approve of that individual. And then also the committee, each biennial year, gets to induct one individual that they feel is outstanding, which we have done this year with Mr. Jerry Pittman. I'd like to thank Mr. Steve Elias. I don't know if anyone, he's a PGA Life member now and has an unbelievable knowledge of the history of the section. And he's taken over as the historian for the section from George Lewis, who had that passed on from Bob Joyce. So if you get a chance to speak with any of those three individuals about the history of the section, it will be time well served, as their knowledge and passion for the Met section is unmatched by anyone. So definitely check them out. At this point in time, I'd like to bring up Mr. Tom Henderson to announce the Hall of Fame induction.
Thanks, Keith. I had the good fortune, maybe I should correct that, the great fortune to work for this year's 2018 Hall of Fame inductee, Jerry Pittman. I worked for Jerry from 1979 to 1987 at the Seminole Golf Club, and it was definitely the formative years for me. When I think of Jerry, I think of player, I think of club professional, and I think of person. As a player, Jerry was an outstanding junior golfer. He played at SMU and was All-American in his senior year there. In 1964, he won the Oklahoma Open. In 1965, he won the Met PGA Championship as well as the Met Open Championship. But 68 was the year. That was the magical year. And I'm happy to say that this is the 50th anniversary of that year. During that year, as a club professional, Jerry played in all four majors. He finished tied 7th in the Masters with a score of 282, 6 under par, 5 back from the winner. He went on to the U.S. Open and finished tied 7th there with a score of 285, and he was one shot clear of such legends as Sam Steed, Billy Casper, and Dave Stockton. From there, he went on to the PGA Championship, finished tied 33rd at Pecan Valley, and then he went to the British Open. Missed the cut there at Carnoustie, but again, played in all four majors, which was a first, and to this day, the only time a club professional has played in 4 majors in 1 year. And if that wasn't enough, the same year he won the Met PGA Championship and he won the Long Island Open. As a club professional, Jerry has been a life member of the PGA. He's been a member for 55 years. And kind of his resume reads: assistant at Southern Hills in Tulsa, Oklahoma, assistant at Westchester Country Club, head professional at the Creek in Long Island, head professional for 20 years at Saucon Valley in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and head professional for 28 years at the Seminole Golf Club in North Palm Beach, Florida. Not many know this, but Jerry was a PGA board member in the late 60s and early 70s, and he was co-chair of the membership committee for the Met section with fellow Hall of Fame member Billy Farrell. Jerry believed, and so did Billy, there should be a higher standard to becoming a professional instead of just signing a couple of documents and then getting in the field. He developed that committee, under his guidance, developed the first written exam for membership, and it led to PGA Nationals membership process, and eventually the business schools. He always emphasized, when I was a young assistant, always emphasized the importance of teaching and playing, which is what we stand for here. And one story came to mind. David referred to Jim Furyk in his presentation. And one story that came to mind, and there were many stories, but the one in particular that came to mind is Jerry Pittman, the teacher. Mike Furyk, Jim Furyk's dad, had called Jerry when he was at Saucon Valley and said, "Hey Jerry, I've got a 15-year-old son. He looks to be a pretty good player, but could you take a look at him and give him some guidance?" So young Jim Furyk came over to Saucon. Jerry watched him hit balls for, I think it was about 10 or 15 minutes. He turned to Mike and said, "I wouldn't change a thing. This kid returns the club to square every time in the same position. Don't change a thing." So before all the technology, before all the video, we didn't have video back when I worked at Seminole, but Jerry relied on his eyes, and they were a good pair of eyes. Last but not least, the person. When I think of Jerry, I think of class. I think of integrity, a man of principle, and fairness. One of the things as a young assistant that I learned early on, because I didn't like getting chewed out, was that you need to be perfect with your presentation, with your appearance. Whenever you did a scoreboard, or whenever you did scorecards, you needed to double and triple check your work. I also learned from Jerry that you needed to treat everyone the way you wanted to be treated. With Jerry, everything was black or white. There was no gray. There was only one way to do things, and there was no right way to do the wrong thing. Most of all, as a person, I look to Jerry as my mentor and a friend. One thing that he said to me was, if you work at good clubs, you'll end up at a good club, and boy, was that the case with me. As I said before, he was a mentor and a friend. He was a mentor to over hundreds of assistant professionals. Jerry, my wife thanks you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for everything you've done for me. Thank you for molding me into who I am as a professional and as a person. It is with great pleasure that I introduce to you my friend and my mentor, Met PGA Hall of Fame member, Jerry Pittman.
I wrote that introduction for Tom, and he kept pulling it off perfectly. It was very, very nice of him to do it, and to see Tom progress from when he first started working for me at Seminole in the 70s. Came there right out of college, and just as green as can be, and to see where he is advanced to right now as Professional of the Year. The National Professional of the Year 2 years ago gives me a great deal of pleasure to see him make that advancement. I'd also like to recognize Darrell Kessler. Darrell, of course, was a Professional of the Year nationally this past year, and 2 out of 3 in the Met section is pretty darn good, I would think. It's a reflection not only on Tom and Darrell and others that have received that award, but reflection on the section itself. Many of you that started here in the Met section might not realize exactly what you do have. I grew up in Oklahoma, and I was in the Southwest section, worked in Florida in the South Florida section and Philadelphia section, but nothing compares with the Met section. The Met section has always been the gold standard for all the other sections, trying to keep pace with us here in this section. And it's been a real privilege to be able to spend part of my career here in the med section. The way that I ended up coming here was kind of ironic. It was just kind of being in the right place at the right time. Lou Costello was a professional at Westchester Country Club at the time, and he'd asked his friend Doug Ford to, if he knew anybody out on the tour that might come up and be a teaching and playing assistant at Westchester for the coming season. And it just so happened I was paired with Doug in a tournament down in Florida, and he mentioned it, and he said, you know, it'd be a good opportunity for you to come up there. And I wasn't playing particularly well at the time, and just kind of stale. And of course, the prize money in those days was just a fraction, a very small fraction of what we have today. And see, the average tournament was around $40,000, $50,000 maybe, and unless you were, you know, finishing consistently in the top 10, 15, or winning tournaments, there wasn't a lot of money to play for. So I asked Doug would he call Lou on my behalf, which he did, and so I called him the next day and asked him could I come up and interview for the job that Doug had described, and no, don't bother with that. He said, come on up and I'll put you to work. And so I came up in the spring of the year, and Lou was nearing retirement and kind of lost interest in his job there at Westchester. And in fact, he had put more emphasis on how the horses were running at Aqueduct and Belmont than he did on the club itself at that point. And so he wasn't teaching or anything. So I immediately got, Westchester being a busy club, I immediately started doing a lot of teaching, playing with the members, and well, I was just in heaven. It was just such a refreshing thing for me to be able to do that up in this area. And the one drawback that I had was that I'd been there for about 2.5 months and I'd never gotten paid. So I finally went to Lou one day and I said, Lou, I said, you know, I've been here, been doing quite a bit of teaching and my salary and everything, and I said, when is payday? And he said, oh boy, he said, I completely forgot about you. He said, how much do I owe you? And I said, well, I get 11 weeks of salary and X number amount of lessons. And so Lou reached in his pocket, pulled out a wad of bills, about to choke a horse, and started counting them out, and paid me the figure I gave him. And I said, well, Lou, don't you keep some record? And he said, no. He says, I've been having a lot of luck at the horse track here lately. And he said, I'll just pay you out of my pocket. Which was a far cry from what we've all gone through with the wage and hourly laws and the withholding and the Social Security and all those various things. But that was a different era for the professionals. And but it was a great summer, and it was very fortunate for me to be able to come up and be a part of the section. Fortunately, that, as Tom mentioned, I did play well that summer, winning a couple of the major events here in the med section, and which got some exposure. And that fall, I got a call from Joe Dye. Mr. Dye was the executive director of the USGA for probably 35 or 40 years, and probably the most respected person in the game of golf for all those years. And he called me and told me that the Bert McDougall, the professional at the Creek, had just retired and wanted to know if I would be interested in applying for the job. And you know, I was very flattered that he would take the time to call me. And I had known Mr. Dye from some of the USGA events, the USGA Junior, the couple of U.S. Amateur, and a couple of 3 U.S. Opens, and for him to call was really meant a great deal. So I did go over for an interview, and back a second time, and finally they did offer me the position there, and I was kind of in between. I started playing well that summer, and I still wanted to play some tournaments, and Mr. Dye convinced me that I would still have the opportunity to play, you know, in the men's section, which is a great section to play in, as well as, you know, some of the national tournaments, of the Open or the PGA Championship or the Masters. And So I decided to take the position, and it was fortunate for me. It was the best decision I ever made. The Creek was I felt like I died and gone to heaven there. I loved the club, I loved the membership, I loved the freedom to be able to play, and the club was very, very tolerant about my being away and playing in some of the championships. And I remember one year I came back, in fact the year I played, as Tom mentioned, in '68, I played well in the Masters, and came back at the club on a Tuesday morning. I had a lot of lessons, and I was walking, one of the ladies at the club came by, and we were walking down the practice tee, and she said, "Where have you been?" He says, "I've been trying to get a lesson from you all week, and you've been gone." I said, "Well, I was playing in a tournament." She said, "Yeah," but he said, I really missed you. I needed that lesson." So it kind of brought you down to a different level when you come back and get that attitude. But they were very, very, very tolerant and allowing me to do it. And of course, up until 1969, when the PGA Tour and the tournament players split, club professionals had the ability to play, even though we had to qualify on the tour. And so during the wintertime, I was able to play a few events, and during the summer, some of the events that I was qualified for. And, of course, the Creek had a wonderful membership, and when the tour and the PGA split in 1969, didn't have the availability to play in a lot of the tour tournaments that we did prior. So kind of a period in there where a lot of the club professionals, a lot of my friends that are former members here of the Hall of Fame, we would go down and play in Central America and play on the Caribbean tour, but it did kind of limit the national exposure we could get. One of the members at the Creek was a gentleman by the name of Alan Ryan. Mr. Ryan was president of the Seminole Golf Club down in Palm Beach. And he called me up one day and told me that Henry Picard was retiring as a professional there. And the two previous professionals was Claude Harmon was professional there, as well as Wingfoot. Henry was professional at Seminole as well as Canterbury and Cleveland. So with the short season that they had there, most of the professionals had a winter club and a summer club. And so Mr. Ryan asked me would I be interested in possibly coming down to the Seminole in the wintertime. And of course, I again was very flattered to be able to have the opportunity. And so we were able to work out the dates between the Creek and the Seminole, where I would spend approximately 6 months down there and 6 months up here. And so it was just a paradise for me, both of them being very, very nice clubs and great memberships. And the fun part of all of it has been, having the friendships and the people that you meet. I'm sure everybody in this room feels as I do that it's been a privilege to be a golf professional, just from the people that you meet and the friendships that you make. And so it was very, very special for me. And so I did that for a couple more years, and then talk about being in the right place at the right time. That was me all the way through my career. And 1974, got a call from another member of the Creek, and affiliated with the Bethlehem Steel Company. And Ralph Hutchison, who had been a long-time professional there at Saucon Valley, was retiring, and they were looking for a professional. So my name came up, and in the meantime, the Saucon Valley, and Ralph had been there so long that they really didn't have any idea how to go about the hiring a professional, so they contacted Joe Dye, who was, again, still by this time, he'd been the tour commissioner. When he retired from the USDA, he became tour commissioner in 1969. So they called him and asked if he had any recommendations, and he gave them two names. One was mine, and to this day, I don't know who the other one was. But so I ended up going down and interviewing for the job at Saucon Valley. I was so happy at the Creek, but I just felt that this was an opportunity. Saucon Valley was 60-hole facility, 318s and a 6-hole course for the kids. And the real thing that was attractive to me was that I would be working for the Bethlehem Steel Company instead of the club itself. And of course, you're working for a corporation. It gives you a lot of the benefits that most of us back during the 60s and 70s, a lot of clubs didn't offer. So I ended up going down to Saucon Valley, and I did that Saucon Valley and Seminole for almost 20 years. And finally just got to be too much, and so I left Saucon Valley and just stayed at Seminole until my retirement in 2000. And my successor, many of you know and know of, Bob Ford. Bob was a longtime professional at Oakmont, and he was my successor there at Seminole. And Bob just last year received the Bob Jones Award from the USDA, which is the highest award that you can possibly get that the USDA offers, which is Bob was the first club professional in their history that has received that award, and it's a tribute to him, and it's a tribute to all of us as PGA members that the USDA would think of him. The men's section is special in so many different ways. Number one, the number of job opportunities that you have here, it's just beyond description against any other section. As I said, it's kind of the gold standard for all the other sections, and I'm sure that each one of you that are members here of the Met section felt like I did. It's been a real privilege to be affiliated here, and appreciate what the Met section has to offer. Also in the education, because of the proximity, you have an education seminar like you had today with David, and which was a wonderful presentation, by the way. And the education here is just beyond what any other section can do. And as Tom mentioned, I went on the board. Frank Carty was president, and I went on the board. And Billy Farrell and I, who I'm sure a lot of you know Billy over the years, were co-chairman of the membership committee, and we felt that the section was very lax in admitting people into the PGA, and it was kind of diminishing the brand that the PGA professional had. So Billy and I drew up an exam and had an extensive oral examination with any prospective members, and we really tightened up the membership, and I felt that it was a step in the right direction. Of course, the National PGA later on with their business school had a lot of the exams, but the Met section was the first one to have that opportunity to do that with the fellow members. The other thing about the Met section is the ability to play in tournaments. The Met section has got, going back even Ben Hogan, Byron Nelson, people like that had affiliation with the Met section. And of course, the Met Open, which just celebrated their 101st or 2nd anniversary. At one time was one of the premier tournaments in the United States, and certainly one of the oldest to this day. And you had so many of the club professionals that were represented the Met section. And in fact, when Claude Harmon won the Masters, 1948, he was the professional at Wingfoot, also a professional at Seminole at the time. And for a club professional to win a major event was, an unbelievable achievement. And of course, Claude was a very special professional. Later on, we had a lot of the professionals here in the Met section. Wes Ellis, who later was over in the Jersey section, later moved to the Westchester section, won the San Diego Open. Tom Neoporti, who I'm sure many of you here knew. Tom won the Bob Hope Desert Classic in 1967, I think it was. And it was so unusual for club professionals to be able to compete on that level, and but it was certainly a good reflection not only on them but the section itself. Tom, as many of you knew, was a very loose guy. He had a big job at Wingfoot and also at Piping Rock when he was there, and he had 9 children, so he had to be a pretty relaxed type of a guy to do with all of that. But when he was being interviewed after the Bob Hope Desert Classic, one of the announcers said, "Tom," he said, "watching you play out there today," and he said, "we noticed you had on one brown and one navy pair of socks. You just wondering, is that a pair of lucky socks for you?" And Tom looked down and, not realizing what he had done, he says, "It must have been." And he says, "I'm really lucky. I have another pair just like it back at the hotel." And but Tom was a wonderful, I know been a long time member of the Hall of Fame here and recently passed away, but Tom was a wonderful professional and both at Piping and at Wingfoot. And I just, again, can't thank the membership and the board here for this honor that I've gotten today. And just like to say again, it's been a real privilege to come back here and see the section, how well they're doing. And again, thank you very much for the honor.
Mr. Pittman, thank you for your great words, and welcome to the Hall of Fame. Well, very well deserved. I'd like to take a moment just to welcome a few people here today. A couple guys that are true friends of the Mets section, members of the media, Mike Dougherty, aka Hoops, from Low HUD and Journal News, and Dave Donaldson of Westchester Magazine. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming out today. Very much appreciated. Also, there's a nice piece of hardware that goes with the Professional of the Year award, and we have a great relationship with the folks at Omega. And if you go over to the Westchester Mall, say hi to Patty Seymour and Richard Lala over the store over there. Thank you guys for coming out today, and thank you for the nice piece of hardware that we're going to present today. I'd like to bring up Mr. Mark Brown to present Player of the Year.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor and a pleasure to have the pleasure of introducing my Player of the Year, my best friend over there, Josh. I've only known Josh for about 3 years now, maybe 4 years. Before I do get that, I do want to add Omega too. Without your support every year, Josh wouldn't be taking home a nice piece of timepiece here today. And also I want to thank Jeff and your entire staff. You guys don't get enough recognition throughout the year, maintaining sponsors, getting the sponsorship that we need for being in the best section in the country. So I definitely want to thank you, Jeff, and your staff. Back to Rax and myself. I met Brackley back in 2014, the Winter Series down in Florida. Kid had like a funky swing. He played in the BAM tour down there, and he tried to make a few bucks. He did okay. He was working at Gulf Mills in the Philly section, and 2015, I guess he played pretty good down there. He won this Haverford thing that was worth $100,000 one-day event. He also won Player of the Year down there in Philly. 2015, that winter, again, BAM tour. I noticed a different Rackley. Same funky swing, but ball striking was pure. Anyways, I was looking for a teaching pro for this season, and he was looking to get his feet wet in the Mets section, so it was a perfect marriage. So Josh started up with me in the March 2016. Kind of little shy, a little timid starting out. But he gave a few lessons. He got to know the membership a little bit. But March and April kind of slow for him, so he and I got a chance to learn each other's games a little more. I didn't get a chance to play with him all that much in the wintertime. But if he wasn't playing with us, he was playing with members all the time. And Josh and I basically had a nightly game, $20, and it was a nice little donation Josh was making to me every week. Paid for a lot of my dinners. Anyways, he got the feel for the Met section pretty quick. As I said, March and April, we had our little matches. We got to our first match in the Long Island match play, and I'm waxing this kid every night. He just couldn't find the, coming up the ninth hole, he couldn't find the last birdie in him, so I win. We got to the Long Island match play, we got over at Engineers, and I'm beating this kid every night. So I kind of figured it was kind of a walkthrough. Little to find out, this kid can play. After 9 holes, I think I was 7 down, embarrassed. I just remember going to I think I made it to 14 maybe, and I think he let up on me a little bit, being the boss. But going from there, he continued his process in the Met section, getting his feet wet, getting another membership, playing a little bit. He got a top 10 in the New York State Open, so he got a feel for what it's like. And then he unfortunately missed the cut for the Met Open qualifier, and I asked him if he wouldn't mind jumping on my bag. And sure enough, it was at Glen Oaks right down the street. And without a doubt, he jumped right on there. And again, he started to know my game a little bit. I started to know his game a little bit more. But he taught me a few things as far as, I've been playing the game a long time. And he showed me this little 2-2-2 shot. And to this day, I still play it religiously. And but he's the one responsible for that. And throughout the whole Met Open, I don't know how many times we said 2-2-2. And sure enough, we did that with great success. And he also did this, the finger thing. And I didn't know what the finger thing was at that time, but he just told me hit it here. Sure enough, I hit it there. End of the week, we ended up winning. So a lot of the work went to him, the teamwork, but he got a good feel of how to win right there, I think. But fast forward to 2017. Again, he went to tour school in 2016 in the fall. Didn't go his way. Didn't make it through tour school first stage. But he practiced hard that winter, and I could see the change. I got a chance to play with him quite a bit that year. And coming back to the section, he did have a new goal in mind. And we talked about it over the winter, and it was to win. And not just to win, but win a major. And I noticed in the wintertime, he practiced harder. He went to the gym. He started eating a little bit better. Not great, a little better. But he definitely all-day process for him. A little different than myself, but... So we started out the season, we won the Long Island Pro Assistant right out of the gate, which was great. And then I got a little redemption in the Long Island match play, right? Got to beat him. And then, so we practiced up, and what we were gearing for was the PNC. We were both going to PNC in Sun River. And our goal was to both either not, if we didn't win, to get in the top 20, get to the PGA, the whole process that goes with that. And so we rented a house out there. We get there, we practiced hard, we thought we were in good shape. And lo and behold, after 2 rounds, the next thing I find is Josh and I floating down this lazy river for 2 hours with a case of beer. And it was then, I think though, that we had a little heart-to-heart, and he actually said to me, I'm sick of this. I don't feel like floating down a lazy river here. I want to be in the action. So from there, the following month, he in the New York State Open, he's coming down the stretch. He ends up coming in 3rd place by 2 shots, but he was right there. Following month, plays in the Met Open at Hollywood. And by this time, this kid's striping. He is not missing. And the other $20 games, I didn't win 1 in 2017. So he was eating sushi mostly. But anyways, he wins the Met Open. He beats Dobbins, Balin, top contenders. And this kid's got no fear now. He's got, he's rock solid. And then from there, he goes on to the Assistants Championship, where he shoots the Bethpage Red, shoots 68, 64, has to birdie the last hole to get in the playoff. And if you guys know the Bethpage Red, 18 is hard to do. Not only did he birdie that, he birdied it in the playoff to win. So pretty cool there. So he's obviously, he learns how to win, and he likes where he's at. Next, he goes up, then at following one, 2nd place in Metropolis in the PGA. And then to finish out his season, he plays an Assistants Tour event at North Shore. It was kind of cool. We kind of watch him each day, and I don't know if Adam's in the room, but anyways, I found out that he's in a playoff. One of my other guys is playing. I'm texting. So going through the text, he's in a playoff with Adam. They play the first hole, they tie. They go to the 2nd hole. Everyone knows North Shore. 2nd hole is a drivable par 4. I got a text that says, lost ball. I'm saying, lost ball? You can't lose a ball there. He said, left in the trees. So he proceeds to go back to the tee, hit driver 10 feet, knocks in the putt, makes 4. Adam doesn't make the putt. They tie. He goes down 18. and wins. So like I said, this kid finds a way to win all the time. And lastly, I had a chance to play with Josh over the winter with a Team Stableford. I locked him up early. We played a Team Stableford, and we were coming down the last day. 15, I think we're down by a couple points. We needed points. Sure enough, who shows up? The closer now. He birdies 15, 16, makes a couple of good pars on 17 and 18. We ended up winning the Team Stableford. So that was kind of cool. So he's the player of the year in 2017. I think he's going to be a person to reckon with coming up next year here. I only wish him the best. I hope for sure that he gets on that web.com and moves on with his travels. But we love having him at Tam O'Shanter. He's a good friend of mine, and you're a player of the year for 2017, Josh Rackley.
Thank you, Mark. All right. First of all, I want to start by thanking Omega for sponsoring us today. As you know, we can't do this without sponsors. I also want to thank other sponsors that fund our events. Linux Advisors, Mercedes-Benz, MasterCard, Lincoln Motor Company, National Car Rental, Callaway, Fairway and Green, just to mention a few. We couldn't do what we do without the help of them. I also have to thank Callaway for making equipment that has never failed me in competition, and they have been taking care of me for the last 5 years. I have to thank MetPGA, the MGA, and the PGA of America for world-class golf events that allows us to compete weekly throughout the year. The names on this award list for the Player of the Year are long and distinguished, and it is an honor to be standing up here representing this award that has been won by some of the greatest PGA professionals this section has seen. For example, like Matt Dobbins, Mark Brown, Danny Balin, Rob Labritz, and Frank Benzel, just to mention a few. It's a privilege to be on this list with some of the greats. So I'll start with how I got in the game. I didn't start playing until I was 16. My dad and I would go to the golf course when I was a junior in high school. We would play 36 holes Saturday and Sunday. Eventually I got a little better and I wanted to take it on the road. So I enrolled in the professional golf management program at NC State. So I spent 4, maybe 5 years in the program. And during my time in college, I met some great people that had the same interests as me. We just loved to play golf and we wanted to be competitive. We would set up games 4 to 5 times a week. There would be sometimes 12 of us competing, so it kept everybody sharp. If it wasn't for the network that I created in college, I don't think I would be up here accepting this award today. I have to thank Tam O'Shanter Club for having a great golf course and practice area that allows me to fine-tune my game while preparing for the many tournaments that we compete in the men's section. Also can't do this without the support of the membership at TAM. It is a very cool membership that encourages us to play golf with them and set up games throughout the week. Also, the members are very engaged with the professional staff. When it comes to competing, it is nice to know that they're at their homes or in their offices following us on the MetPGA website, if they aren't following us on the golf course. It's an honor to represent TAM every time we tee it up. Next, I have to thank Nick Patty and Mike Greeny, 2 of the other assistants at TAM, for the social and professional support during my first 2 seasons at TAM. I can't forget to thank them for the weekly donations when I'm feeling a little antsy on the first tee up. I have to thank John Eichner, our starter at TAM, for the first 2 seasons at TAM, and for giving me a putting lesson a couple days before the Met Open when I felt like I couldn't putt it into a basketball hoop. The Met Open was the best 3-day putting total I think I've ever had, so I give my credit to John. I have to thank Anthony Cancro, Director of Instruction, and one of my bosses at TAM, for taking me under his wing the first day I showed up. I learned a tremendous amount about the golf swing while shadowing him during lessons, as well as how to properly communicate with these members. Anthony is also my coach. He has transformed my golf swing from an inconsistent move that was completely reliant on timing, more of a baseball swing. And now I have a swing that I can take on the road, and I feel like I can compete at any venue. So thanks, AC. And last but not least, I got to thank Mark Brown for being one of the best mentors a younger assistant could ask for. My first year working under Mark, he had one of the best seasons ever in the Met section, coming in second in the PNC, and he also won his 3rd Met Open title, which, as you know now, I witnessed firsthand while carrying his bag. One thing I learned watching these 2 tournaments was his ability to play without fear. He never showed any sign of being nervous coming down the stretch. All he wanted to do was make birdies. So last season, I really tried to play golf without any fear, including having to make 3-foot sliders coming down the stretch. We're just trying to hit the fairways at Hollywood Golf Club, as you know, is very tight. Not wondering what could happen if I miss a short putt or hit the ball would be. And if you're able to play without fear, from what I've learned from Mark, at the end of the day, you know that you did your best. So thanks, Mark. And finally, I want to thank all the PGA professionals in this room for competing at such a high level every tournament. It makes me play best, and I'm sure it makes everyone else play their best. It really is a special section, and it is an honor to wear the men's section badge. Thank you.
Brownie, I'm shocked as many trophies as you won. You didn't get the process of handing it out there, but well done. Sam Snead Award, I'd like to bring up our current president of Metropolitan PGA to introduce this prestigious award, which we nominate or give out. It's one of the most important awards that we have in our section, and it's going to a great family. And also to the family down here, the MGA works in conjunction with the Metropolitan PGA for so many years. Thank you guys for all your help, and thank you for coming out today and support. So I'd like to bring up Mr. President Brian Kroll.
First of all, congratulations to all our award winners. And Josh, I want to apologize. I came in a little late and I tossed him my keys. I thought he was a valet. He plays without fear and he dresses without fear. I can't help myself. Wouldn't be golf without a jab here and there. The Sam Snead Award. Let me get serious here for a moment. This is clearly one of the preeminent honors that we can bestow on anyone, and it means a lot to us. And I should also mention that a past Sam Snead, a winner, is not here where I normally see him, and I know Lowell Schulman is up there appreciating this great event, but we do miss him. The Sam Snead Award is given to a person of great character who has consistently provided outstanding contributions to the game of golf. It's our section's way of honoring distinguished service, and we couldn't honor a more distinguished recipient. If not all, then most of you in this room know that Jay Mottola has been a leader in golf and with the MGA for more than 40 years, 34 of those years as executive director. I will pause for a moment and just say it's great to have Brian Mahoney filling in and doing a fantastic job for the MGA. It's also fantastic to have Jeannie McCooey and Gene Westmoreland here with us today. The triumvirate of the Metropolitan Golf Association has done so many great things for all of us and for golf here, so it's great to have the three of you together again. The band is back together again. Beyond the MGA, Jay has been actively involved in countless associations and foundations, locally, regionally, and on a national level. More importantly, Jay has helped to unify the many associations here in the metropolitan New York area. And he's helped to bring us all together and to focus on common goals, like celebrating the game and strengthening the influence of golf. And I think that's evident because we all do work together here. The folks in this room are all part of a larger community that has golf and the benefits of golf at our heart. Basically, if there's a cause that benefits golf and those who are positively impacted by our sport, you can be sure that Jay Mottola knows about it, and he's been there behind the scenes providing counsel and motivation. And that's all information you probably already know. A couple quick things you might not know about Jay. First and foremost, the guy can play. Although there was some vicious rumor about changing the name Lost Tree to Lost Ball. That's an inside joke. The Mottola swing is smooth. Sam Snead himself would appreciate Jay's effortless power. I did a little research, and if you were to measure, God bless you, executive directors by handicap index, Mottola wins the title hands down. Sorry, Brian. Voorhees is in the D flight, by the way. Some additional history. In high school, Jay won the Section 9 golf title and finished in the top 10 in the state. He also went on to qualify for 2 NCAA Division I championships in golf at Lafayette. And believe it or not, he might have had more talent on the basketball court than he does on the links. A sharp shooting point guard, he scored more than 1,000 points in high school and more than 1,000 points in his college career, including a free throw with 3 seconds remaining to lift Lafayette over Virginia in an NIT tournament game. If you don't believe me, you've got to Google it. This guy is talented. He's in the Lafayette Hall of Fame, and he certainly had an incredible Hall of Fame career in golf. Jay Mottola has been a great friend to me and a motivator for me and countless others. He continues to be a role model, and he continues to be an ambassador for everything great about golf. And frankly, I don't ever see that role changing. Please join me in welcoming the 2018 Metropolitan PGA Sam Snead Award winner, Mr. Jay Mottola.
Thank you, Brian, for those kind words, and I know it's been a busy time for you, and thanks for being part of the presentation. And I know beyond your work for the Met PGA, thank you for being such a great ambassador for the game. I'm going to be brief, just a few thank yous and just a few remarks about this award. First, to congratulate my fellow honorees. Josh, what a great year. Proud to have you as a Met Open champion. To Jerry Pittman and to Dave, your Professional of the Year, who you'll meet in a minute, just 2 amazing careers as golf professionals. So to all 3 of those gentlemen, I'm honored to share the stage with you today. After 35 years with the MGA, plus I have some people to thank, and I would like to start with the MGA. This award has my name on it, but I really accept it on behalf of the MGA family. Our over 300 volunteers who do so much to serve the game. These are people who donate their time and expertise simply out of the love for the game. We couldn't do anything that we do without their help. And to my colleagues on the MGA staff, and I'm delighted that so many of them are here today, the MGA is an association that simply is here to serve the game. That's our only purpose, to serve the golfers, the clubs, and the game here in the Met area. To do that, you have to have a culture of service. And certainly, before I got there, and hopefully long after I'm gone, that culture of service permeates everything that the MGA does, striving for excellence in everything that we do. And I know that with Brian Mahoney's leadership and a talented and diverse staff, with the leadership of our volunteer base with Michael Sullivan and Todd Pike and Andy Stock, that team is going to take the MGA to even greater heights in the future. And there are 2 very special people that are here today, and I do want to recognize Jeannie McCooey and Jean Westmoreland. Brian stole a little bit of my thunder there. They were simply the best at what they do. So much of what the MGA accomplishes is a direct result of their great work. I'm delighted they're here today, and Jean and Jeannie, I would like you to stand and be recognized. So thank you to my MGA family, and I think everybody in this room knows being in the golf business, there's a lot of sacrifices to be made, a lot of time away from family, and certainly the support of family is so critically important, and I've been blessed in that area. My dad introduced me to the game when I was a kid. My sisters and 3 sisters and my mom and dad sacrificed a great deal so that I could concentrate on things like basketball and golf. Lucky enough to go to a great school like Lafayette and on to graduate school, and they sacrificed a great deal so I could enjoy all of those things. So I certainly thank them for getting me off to such a great start. And when I think back about my start in golf, I think it was 53 years ago that I started as a caddy at the Tuxedo Club. I worked on the grounds crew there, and I think getting started in golf in that way, from the ground up, gave me a perspective that's helped me throughout my golf career. And certainly the membership at Tuxedo, and I wasn't a member there when I started caddying. I was a Pub Links player growing up in Tuxedo. But I've been a member there for now, I think, 38 years, and certainly the membership there has been so supportive of me and so helpful, and got to work with great golf professionals like David Carrazzo and now Chris Muldoon. So thank you to the membership and everyone at Tuxedo for their help and support over the years. And of course, my family at home, Patty, we're going to celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary this year. We have blessed with 4 beautiful daughters. Patty is here. I'm so happy to have you here today. My 4 daughters can't be here, but they all have good excuses. My daughter Lauren is 8.5 months pregnant, expecting our first grandchild, which we're very excited about. And my other 3 daughters are all working. They're out of the house and gainfully employed, so that's a good thing too. But to Patty and the girls, thank you for your love and support over the years. You make everything worthwhile. And now just a few comments about why this award means so much to me. First, when I look at the past winners of this award, it's a great group to be part of. When I look at all the great golf professionals that have received the award, just a terrific group. And when I look at all the amateur winners of this award, going back to Joe Dye, to Paul Dillon, and to Lowell Schulman, who we have to pay special tribute. We lost Lowell this past year, but he did so much for our 2 associations and for the game in the Met area. He certainly will be missed. So to join that group is very special for me. Second reason this is important is because of who it comes from. You've heard a lot about the Met section today, but it's clearly the best section in the country. I have so much respect for the Met PGA, for Jeff and the staff there, and the great job that they do supporting golf in the metropolitan area. And so much respect for all of the golf professionals that make up the PGA. It's been said a couple of times already, but it's clearly the best of the best teachers, the best players. They all come to the Met section. And just one other point about the golf professionals in the room. This is something that I've never really shared very much at all, and certainly never in public. But like all of you golf professionals, when I was growing up caddying, playing junior golf, playing amateur golf, playing in college, I wanted to be a golf professional. I aspired to take my game to the next level. But unlike you, I didn't have the courage to put other things aside and really concentrate on it. There was always an excuse. I had to concentrate on basketball. I had to do this. I had to concentrate on school. I got into a great graduate school. All those things, I deferred and made excuses. So I have tremendous respect for every person in this room for following your dreams, for the commitment you've made to your profession and to the game. So this award means a lot because it comes from golf professionals. And the other thing I was thinking about when I was thinking about being a golf professional, I remember I was paired with Bobby Hines once in a U.S. Amateur. We were practicing for a U.S. Amateur qualifying round, and Bobby and I had known each other playing golf in the Hudson Valley growing up. So I asked Bobby what he was doing, and he said, well, I want to become a golf professional, and I'm working on my game, and I want to get better, and I'm hitting. He told me the number of balls he hit every day, and I took a step back and said, maybe I'm not pursuing this dream quite hard enough. But I was being too hard on myself because Bobby Hines still hits more golf balls than BJ Singh, so I shouldn't have stopped there. And it also didn't help that my game peaked when I was 17 years old. And seriously, I think the final reason this award means a lot to me is because of the man I follow in receiving the Sam Snead Award, Charlie Robson. There's no one I respect more in the Met area than Charlie. He's simply the best. I'm sorry Charlie couldn't be here, but all I'll say is he sent me a note yesterday, and his words mean a lot to me. And in closing, I'd just like to leave everybody maybe with just one thought. And that's to think how lucky we are to be involved in a profession in a game that we love, and to have careers in a game and a profession that we love. And also to think how lucky we are to be doing it here in the Met area, where we have the greatest collection of golf courses, So many of our sister associations who do so much for the game, from the USGA to the WMGA, and our superintendents and managers, all of those groups represent the very best in golf. And our two great associations. We've done so many things together, creating the Golf Central headquarters that we share as our operating base, launching the first tee of Metropolitan New York a number of years ago, which is now the largest and most successful chapter in the country. Doing so many things to support junior golf and player development. But in spite of everything that we've done and continue to do, I think everyone in this room knows that golf faces unprecedented challenges, and we have to work even harder. And just thinking that what we've done in the past will be successful in the future is something I would challenge. And so I'd ask everyone in the room here, this is an award for service, that let's all think about doing a little bit more to serve the game, to serve our associations, to introduce young people to the game, to introduce women and families to the game. Because I think by working together, there's virtually nothing that our two associations can't accomplish. So thank you very much for this award and this honor. I hope I've given you a sense of how much it means to me. Thank you.
Very well said, Jay. Very honored to have you as our Sam Snead Award winner, especially following that other guy, Charlie. For our Professional of the Year, I'd like to welcome Sherry Gashevsky for lending Dave to us all these years, and to the Noyak members for making the big trip out here and supported Dave. I've known him for a long time, back into the late 90s when I was working at Atlantic, and got to play a little bit of golf with Dave. So I'm going to bring up Mr. Bob Stefano to introduce the Professional of the Year.
Dave, can't believe that you're being honored at the same time that these unbelievable honorees are up here. A wonderful, wonderful honor. Now, I have to say something good about my friend David, because we just drove for 3 hours together. And he kept throwing hints at how wonderful he was. And I caught them, Dave. And I'm going to say some nice things. First of all, I'm going to remind you, for when you get up here, of my 3 B's of a speech. Be sincere, which I'm going to be brief, and be seated. So anyway, David and I go back a long time. My name is Bob DeStefano, and I was the golf pro in Shelter Island for 50 years. And David was the pro next door for 32 years, Dave? 33 years. I forgot one of them there. But I've known Dave that amount of time, but the last tournament that he won as an amateur was the Bob DeStefano Open. And David was always a terrific player. Always a terrific player. He's one of the best players ever come out of Eastern Long Island. I always said, one of the best that never won a major. But as a golf professional at Noyak, which is a club next door, many of you know about what golf pros hear about the pro next door. David was loved by his members, absolutely loved by his members. I used to love to go over there to see how he was treated, to see how he treated them. when we went out to dinner, always seemed to meet members. He knew how to make members feel comfortable. A big part of being a golf professional, a big part of why you got this award, Dave. Not only is he a good player, he knew how to keep his people happy. Of course, he married well, because without Sherry, nothing goes. Sherry, you're terrific. And Sherry runs the operation while Dave does the teaching. I've used him so many times whenever I had a good player. If I had a good player, David knows, I'd call him up and I'd say, Dave, I want you to look at this guy. Just want your opinion. And those of you that know David, you're going to get his opinion if he asks for it. And that I always admired, and I'll always do that even when you retire, Dave. But anyway, I think this award is a perfect award for you. I really congratulate the selection committee for the Met PGA for recognizing us out there on the East End, that you don't see much of us. But for picking David Kashesky, you picked a great one. Thank you very much. Dave, come up here and accept your award as the Professional of the Year for the Metropolitan Section. A great honor.
Great view from here. I love this. Congratulations to all the award winners. It's an absolute privilege to be up here with you. Josh, watch out. I'm coming after you this year. We all started off by wanting the watch, so you got it early in your career, so good luck for the rest of it. This is basically a thank you note, more than a speech. I have a lot of people to thank, because getting here is an amazing journey. Before that, I'd like to recognize Jerry Pittman again, because you were definitely an idol when I was growing up. You were the guy whose name in the paper we saw and we wanted to be. So, thank you. Thank you, Bob, for the introduction, but most of all for being a role model, a teacher, and dear friend. From the time I was a junior until this special day and beyond, forever, and I'll always be there for you, for whatever you need, whenever. Thanks to Brian Crowd and the Special Awards Committee for adding me to the very prestigious list of professionals that have come before me. I've always respected and admired them throughout my career, and you know, to me, there are so many great choices for this honor, because you know, I'm out there doing my job. I know a lot of you and how hard you work, how much time, how much dedication you put into it. It makes it even more special that I was selected, because I know the talent in the section. Okay, and you know, for me, being a member of the Met PGA and the head professional at NOYAC was an honor in it to itself. I mean, it was really a dream come true for me to go back home, get the head pro job at NOYAC, and meet the people and be with the people I've known now for 37 years. The honor will be cherished by myself, Sherry, and my entire family forever. It's truly an honor. Okay, now I'm going to get the hard part done early, so it's not towards the end and I'll be crying. Okay, so to my wife, Sherry. Bob touched on it, but she has been at my side from the beginning of my career and all 33 seasons so far at the golf club. She's the best multitasker I've ever seen in my life. She's a great businesswoman. She's the rock we all cling to when times get rough there. She's a great mother. She's a great grandmother. You wouldn't know it by looking at her, but she's a great grandmother. My biggest fan and my best friend. And I certainly wouldn't be here without you, so I love you, Sherry. I can't say it. Then, of course, the golf clubs in the section. I happen to be at the best golf club in the Met section and maybe the country. So that makes it very easy to be up here and speak on behalf of my president, Dennis Hirsch, who made the trip, my golf chairman, Herb Hellman, Dick Mandel, one of my old friends and members. You know, to touch on them, they're friends of golf, and they're friends of the golf professional. Whoever that may be, they're friends of all of us in this room. To show that, you know, we've had during my time at NOIAC, we've had a relationship with the Met PGA, the MGA, the Long Island Golf Association, and the USGA, and in my years, we've hosted 18 events, qualifiers, tournaments, and these gentlemen will make sure that continues. This year we're having the Jack Mallon, and we're having the Men Open qualifying. And next year we've signed up to have the Long Island Golf Association Mid-Am. So I couldn't be more proud of being at my club. We've done a tremendous renovation during my time there, which is just absolutely spectacular. The architect is up for best renovation of the year, so we have a lot to be thankful for. Thanks to the golf staff. I mean, you know, we can't do it without a great golf staff, represented by my first assistant, Tom Holdsworth. Tom came back to us to help us out at NOIAC after a long stint at Southampton Golf Club as head professional. My assistant, Derek Diesel, Brad Phillips, Ryan White, my great starter caddy master, all the interns, bag room guys. I mean, I couldn't do it without them. Also here is Pete Andrusani, proud new dad, and that's what makes me tick. Pete and his baby. They had some difficulties, and it's all worked out, and I love you. And thanks to Bill Gilroy, my first boss, who was at NOIAC. I spent 3 years there, then left for 3 years, and Bill had the confidence in me to find me in Florida and asked me to put a resume in at the club because he thought I would fit there, and I'll be forever thankful to him. Some of the pros I have to thank. I mean, I work with Don McDougall, Bob Joyce, Bob Weber, Bobby Jenkins, a friend, Richie Laughlin, Rich and Claudia Stuckland, two of our best friends that, you know, I love dearly. Tournament play. Josh touched on this. Tournament play has always been a passion, so I want to thank the sponsors and the vendors that give us this platform to showcase our skills, or sometimes yipping, which I didn't get an answer to with the putting portion of the program. So I want to thank them. Teaching as well. I want to thank the Education Committee presently and past, because we have all benefited from the great speakers they've provided us. We've all taken the information, passed it on to our members, and I think have benefited greatly from the educational opportunities here at the Met section. Then we have the Met PGA itself. I mean, I bleed blue. I mean, I spent the winter in Florida, and I mean, it's just different being a Met PGA professional. We are the best in the country, and the classiest individuals in the room, the guys that aren't here. We have Darrell Kessner, National Professional of the Year. My God, it's amazing. And then we have Jeff Voorhees, who's always been a friend since he first came to work for the Met PGA, and I value his friendship, and I think he's a tremendous leader. Kelly, Dan, Kevin, the entire staff is incredible, and I'm proud to associate myself with them. And of course, Charlie Robson, who was mentioned. I mean, Charlie, for most of my career, was the executive director, and he's still in the trenches for us as professionals, meeting with my club, being that this coming season, Sherry and I will be leaving Noyac and attempting to relax, I guess, but along with Jeff and Charlie and a great group of men at Noyac and women, they will find a proper replacement, and I hope it comes out of this room and the section. It's certainly where I want it to come from, because this is my family. And thank you very much.
Congratulations, Dave. Well deserved. Enjoying your impending retirement, if you can relax. I don't know if you know how. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And to quote our past executive director, Charles Robson, safe home. Thanks.
Thank you.